The U.S. presidential election is undoubtedly one of the most important events in the world of global politics. On the eve of the day when America will choose, after a presidential campaign that has went from a felony trial through an incumbent president being pushed off the ticket and multiple assassination attempts, the question now remains, what are we to expect from the election and how is it going to affect our region? Joining me now to discuss this is Jowanka Jakubek-Lalik, Associate Professor at the University of Warsaw. Good evening. It's great to have you with me in the studio back again.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So let's take a look at the final day. There's been a lot happening so far. We have the last day. Both candidates are actually still trying to garner more votes. Kamala Harris, Pennsylvania, 19 electoral votes, a big prize. Donald Trump rallies in 3 states, 4 rallies in 3 states. Based on what we've seen so far, what can we expect from the last day, and are we to see any surprises?
The last day seems to be quite decisive, and the race indeed is very close. So both candidates are working very hard to gain support. And as we know, American elections are quite unpredictable because even if one candidate wins in popular vote, it might turn out differently in the electoral votes. So here again, the swing states are the most important places to rely, to campaign, and to ask for support. So we will see indeed what will happen.
As we've been looking at this campaign on both sides, we had the candidates trying to appeal to different groups, to ethnic minorities, to women based on reproductive rights, to American Poles, to Muslims as well as Jews when it comes to the conflict in the Middle East. Which of these groups do you think is going to be decisive when it comes to swing states and the final election result?
Indeed, this is inherent to the two-party system, which is very divisive, and people vote either for one party candidate or for the other. So it's very rarely that they decide to support the candidate from the opposition party, for the opposite party. The issues, the topics of these elections are very crucial. So, of course, Americans decide based on internal topics mainly. So economy, so migration, and also for women, I think it's super important, the position of both candidates towards reproductive rights.
Can we pinpoint any of those groups that could make a possible shift?
I think what could be quite surprising, and I expect that this could happen, is how normally Republican-leaning women will vote. They might vote surprisingly for Vice President Harris because of the issue of reproductive rights and also women's rights. So here we can maybe expect some surprise. However, all the other factors seem to be more or less aligned with the normal party choices. However, again, there might be some surprises when it comes to who is supporting Vice President Harris, when it comes to people who usually support Republicans. So here we can expect maybe one difference, and also the opposite way. So maybe some ethnic minorities that people would count that will support Vice President Harris, they might still vote for the former President Trump.
The last time you were here with me in the studio, we spoke about the Electoral College and the electoral vote, because this election, the U.S. election, is not only about the voting of the people, but it's also about the electoral vote. When do you think are we going to find out the actual election results when it comes to the U.S. presidential election?
Precisely. The American voting system is more complicated than European systems. So they have the 2 stages of voting. So first of all, they have popular vote, but people elect the electors. So those people who will then, in the second round, let's say, vote for the candidate for president. So here I still would say that we need to expect that the final results of the electoral vote will take some more time than only counting the ballots.
And based on empirical evidence we've seen so far, based on the candidates, what they've said, how they appealed also to Polish Americans, what do you think, which of the candidates with their policies, focusing on the policies, is going to be better for Europe and our region?
Well, of course, here also opinions are divided. Should Vice President Harris win the elections, we can expect the continuity of American politics. However, also not 100%, because I believe that some changes will be quite apparent after Kamala Harris will take over from Joe Biden. Should Donald Trump win, on the other hand, we can expect unpredictability because this candidate is very difficult to be determined what his actions will be. However, for our region, what is the most important is the position of United States towards the war in Ukraine. And here,
which speaks for the security in our region, after all.
Of course. And here, those two candidates have very different positions. So Kamala Harris should probably continue the line of Joe Biden's policy towards Ukraine, so continue the support of the country against the Russian aggression, whereas President Trump's actions are quite unpredictable. On one hand, he claims that he can stop this war quite immediately, but on the other, he even holds some personal grudge against Ukraine because Ukraine was the reason for his first impeachment attempt. So here we can also expect very different twists and turns.
The next 24 hours, 48 hours are definitely going to be something to watch closely. Thank you so much. Jowanka Jakubek-Lalik, Associate Professor at the University of Warsaw. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
And so this would be all the latest news for now, so please stay tuned here on TVP World, as over the next 48 hours we will be bringing you more on the US presidential election and more from the region.